In this video, we'll be learning how to cut and sew this beautiful Caribbean scuba dress. I made this dress and I just thought to take you guys through the process of how I was able to cut and sew this dress. This dress has two inseam pockets and this tutorial will be in two parts. This is going to be the cutting and the sewing to the half length point tutorial, and the next one I'll be uploading how to sew from the half length to the whole of the dress. Like the next video will be a complete video on how to sew the dress from the half length point, because this will stop at the sewing of the half length. I'm making it in two parts because I want it to be as explanatory as possible, and I do not want to jump what I'm not supposed to jump or skip the steps that I'm not supposed to skip. This dress was made for a yummy mommy and a adorable baby girl. This is the one for the baby girl, which I'll be uploading a tutorial later on how to cut and sew for the baby girl as well. But for this particular video, it is a tutorial on how to cut that of the mom, like how to cut this dress for an adult and how to sew it up to the half length point. The first thing you have to know at back of your mind is that this dress requires a lot of fabric, especially when you are using scuba like me. This dress is going to consume a lot of fabric. I used 7 yards for the mom alone, except you want it to have joining, your pleat to have joining. And considering that you're using scuba, if your pleat has joining, it will be so obvious, like everybody will see it. So just know that before you can successfully achieve this dress, you need a lot of fabric. That being said, the basic measurements you need to measure on any adult at all to be able to cut and sew a dress like this are the full length, the half length, the shoulder, the bust, the waist. Because this particular one that will be cutting in this video has princess that bustier, so you'll be considering nipple to nipple, shoulder to under the bust. Now, the first thing I did was to bring out the half length, and to bring out the half length, you need to consider the highest measurement between the bust and the waist. In most cases, is the bust, but you can see few persons that it will be their waist. So just check out for the highest measurement between the person's bust and waist, and whatever it is, you cut it out and add 14 inches allowance. This 14 inches allowance covers allowance for cutting the princess that bustier, for joining it back, for sewing your dress, for the zip as well. All these allowances are covered in this 14 inches. So when you cut out the bust plus 14 inches allowance, share that into two. One will be for the front and the other one will be for the back. Now for the length, the half length itself, whatever the person's half length is, you'll be adding 2 inches allowance. In my case, our half length is 18. I added 2 inches allowance. So in total, I measured 20 inches, and the first one I marked was for the front panel. This is the front panel of the half length now. I marked out a princess that bustier. If you don't know how to cut a princess that bustier, I have a detailed video on how to cut princess that bustier on my channel. Detailed video right from the pattern drafting to the cutting. The link is currently showing up and it will also be down in the description box. And in case you don't know how to join Princess that bustier as well, I have a detailed video on how to join a princess that bustier on my channel. The link to that video is currently showing up and it will also be down in the description box. You should check it out if you don't know how to draft, cut, and join the princess that bustier. So this is it for the front panel. I marked out the neckline. The whole of the neckline, I used 6 for neck depth, but for the round part of the neck, you can see that the neck is kind of round and then V, kind of sweetheart neck. So for the round part, I used 3, and for the V part, I used 3 as well. So that's the 6 in total. Then I proceeded to cutting the princess that bustier. This is what the one for the front panel looks like. The back is much easier considering that this dress will have zip at the back. First thing I did was to mark zip allowance of 1.5 inch, then nipple to nipple divided by 2. I marked that plus allowance for joining it. Like I said, the detailed video on how to cut princess at bustier is down in the description box. Now, because I'll be turning the neckline of this dress, And you know that anytime you are turning a neckline for princess that bustier, like you have to cut a full lining, except you don't want the turning to go beyond just the neckline. If you want it to extend a little bit to the under bust. And because this dress will not be having sleeve, I have to turn the armhole as well. And turning the armhole, that means that my facing, my lining, whatever I'm using to turn it, has to extend to below the under bust. So for this reason, I could not cut a short facing for it because I needed to turn the armhole. So I cut two of this. One will be the main fabric and one will be the facing. I'm using scuba. I cannot use lining to line scuba because scuba is stretchy. Can only use lycra or a stretchy lining, or I use this scuba. But because I want it to be as neat as possible, I had to use this same scuba to line it. So I cut two for this. I'll be using one to turn one. I hope my explanation is clear. I cut two for the front and then I cut two for the back panel as well for the half length. And basically that is it for the half length. My name is Oluwatosin. In case this is the first video of mine that you are seeing, and you're welcome. If you've not subscribed, consider subscribing, and don't just subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified when next I upload a new video on this channel. So when I was done with the cutting, I proceeded to join in. This is the back. I joined the back panel first, then I joined the front panel. I joined the actual fabric first, and I joined the lining first. When I say lining in this case, you now understand that I still mean the scuba because it's the scuba that I'm still using as the lining. Now for the front panel, this is what it's looking like when I was done joining. After joining, you should give your where you joined it a very good press so that the bustier can come out very well. Then when I was cutting the neckline for the lining, I didn't cut the V part of the neckline on the lining. I just cut the round part. It is after turning the neckline that I will trim out the V part of the neckline. I hope what I'm trying to say is clear. So I only cut for the sweetheart neckline, I only cut the round part and the V part on my main fabric. On the lining, I did not cut it. I love to do it like that sometimes when I'm cutting necklines like that. Now to turn the neckline, I for the back, I turned the armhole and the neckline with hemming gum. I did not turn the zip side because I'll be turning the tip of the zip. I'll be turning it with the lining together with the lining. So I left like 1 inch that I'll be using to fix the zip. I didn't turn it up to that part, even on the neckline. Now to turn the shoulder, after I was done turning the front panel, I put it in between the back panel. I put it in between the lining and the actual fabric. I made sure the right side is facing right side and I pinned it down. After pinning it down on the shoulder line, I stitched it, and when I flip it to the right side, this is what it's looking like. At this point, I've still not turned my zip allowance, don't forget, but the necklines are turned for front and back. The armhole is turned. It is now time for me to shape. To shape, put your zip allowance together like I did, making sure they are either facing each other or lying down each other. Don't let it stay out. Then divide your bust by 4, making sure that that number, when you divide by 4, your bust by 4, whatever number you get is at the middle, like you place it at the middle, then you mark for both sides. You mark on the left and then you mark at the right. Divide the waistline by 4 as well. Let's say our bust is 40. 40 divided by 4 is 10. So 10 has to be like the number 10 on my tape rule has to be the number that will be on the middle. Then I mark on both sides. Then for the waistline, the same thing. When you are done doing that, divide the armhole by 2 and you mark. In fact, if you've marked your bust correctly, you would notice that this armhole that I'm measuring now will be that same point that you've marked your bust. Armhole divided by 2 will be that same point that you've marked your bust if you've marked your bust correctly. Now take this to your sewing machine and stitch across these 2 points from the armhole to the bust and then to the waist. These 3 points, stitch across that. And for now, this is where I'll be stopping. In my next video, we'll continue from here. you should check out for that video. As long as I upload it, the link will be showing up and it will also be down in the description box. This dress has an inseam pocket, like I said, so watch out for all of that in my next video. If this video has been helpful to you, do not forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you found this video interesting as well, consider giving it a thumbs up. In case you have any question, don't forget that the comment section down below is always opened to welcome your question. As much as possible, you can just help me share my video amidst your soulmates. Do not forget to subscribe if you've not subscribed. And if you just subscribed, don't forget to turn on the notification bell. My name is Oluwatosin and I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.